Except for the bond from Nets Republic, I would like to call an emergency town hall meeting. I know it's late. I'm sorry I had to wake you up from your slumber, but we have to have an emergency conversation. Now, I could have made this video immediately when it came out, but then I would have been like the nasty individuals who tried to get a jump on the story and be firsties, but you got the story wrong. So I waited as long as I possibly could to make sure I got the story correct. All the things we've been waiting for involving vaccine mandates, involving everything going on with the Rudy, you know what I mean? The old Rudy Gobert shuffle going on in the New York area, specifically in the city, in the boroughs and such. We've been waiting for that oh so magical update, and Kyrie was quoted last night, actually, after the game as saying that all he could do was be positive, but he felt like some good news was on its way. The announcement has been placed. The results are in. Not to sound like an episode of Maury and be overly dramatic, but Kyrie Irving is not allowed to play for the Brooklyn Nets and home games. He's allowed to be at the arena. He's allowed to continue to attend practices. He's allowed to sit on the bench and clear and clap for the team during home games, but he is not allowed to participate. Now, a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction to this news was with spirited comments, with finger pointing and trying to piece together things that might not make a lot of sense. Now, I have had a very consistent form of energy on Kyrie throughout this entire ordeal. Stuff that I've been basically saying since before I was a part of Nets Republic, that you've seen other places, and things that I've tried to keep PG while I've been on Nets Republic, which again, you have all seen. Kyrie Irving's choice to not be vaccinated is his choice, and that's perfectly fine. He can do whatever he wants. However, the league is probably doing their best to, and I mean, it's not just specifically a Kyrie thing. It's just Kyrie's the only person on the Nets who's not vaccinated, so this whole thing is kind of revolving around him. But this is an issue all around the league, if you will, with other players. It's just Kyrie's the only person on both New York teams who this issue applies to. But in general, this is a widespread issue, so I don't want to make it seem like we're singling out Kyrie Irving here. But Kyrie's decision to not get vaccinated is a personal choice that he has his absolute right to enforce and stick with in his particular stance. However, the league is most likely trying to keep Kyrie Irving safe. That's why it's health and safety protocols. They're doing their best to make sure that Kyrie, and again, anyone else who would have fallen into this situation, is safe and okay. What I mean by that is if New York City or Manhattan or Brooklyn or wherever we're speaking of, Brooklyn in this particular case, is a hot spot, if you will. It's where there's been a lot of cases. It's a very populated, condensed area. And the city, again, this is government stuff, not Adam Silver throwing in things to try and screw up the Nets. This is government stuff here. If the city feels like this is a hot zone, if you will, there's a lot of cases around here, even though numbers are either going up or down. I won't allegedly speculate on either of them because I would need to do research to do that. And Seventh Bond is not Mr. Research Man, but that's not here to there. It is possible that a opposing player could, or a player who's already here, could get the you-know-what. You feel me? You feel me? They could get that from being in the Brooklyn area, either at a restaurant, from an Uber. They could mess around and get that, and there is a higher chance that that could happen and it could spread in New York, in the city. There's a higher chance on that. That's what the government is saying. So for players who are vaccinated, if there is some form of an outbreak from contact between players at a game, those who are vaccinated have a higher chance of it not affecting them in such a negative Great. Those who aren't vaccinated, chances are a little wild. I'm not going to speculate what would happen because, again, I'm not a doctor, but I believe this is more of a safety measure to protect Kyrie or whoever this would apply to. Now, it's possible that y'all can poke holes through that logic all day and night. It is what it is. I'm just simply throwing up an idea for maybe that's what's going on here. I understand on first look on paper, it's he can be there on the bench, but he can't play. What's the difference? I feel like that would be the difference. I feel like if he's got a mask on, if he's basically the equivalent of a fan, he's just courtside, I feel like that's a lot safer than if he's out there with individuals who are traveling around the country for a living and who knows where they've been and all that type of stuff. I feel like maybe that's in place to keep Kyrie safe. Now, that is on the safety aspect of it, and just to try to react and address the law and why things went the way they did, that's my speculation on it. So we're going to put that to the side because I've done my due diligence by having a mature, I made very few jokes, a mature conversation of my thoughts on trying to make sense of all this. So we'll take that, we'll put it right here. This is the serious zone. This is the other zone. And we're about to go to the other zone. Y'all, this is exactly what I talked about last video. This is word for word, bar for bar, exactly what I talked about yesterday. We cannot get too high up on victories where Kyrie is involved because the next game he is legally not allowed to. Now, with the alleged hope for the best, with the alleged fingers crossing positivity stuff we're throwing out into the air, Kyrie is still not legally able to play home games. It hasn't changed. We had a glimmer of hope on some speculation type stuff, but it didn't work. It didn't happen. So our current reality, not where we were yesterday, not where we'll be tomorrow, but currently our current reality is Kyrie is only available to play 7 more of the 20 plus games we have. Kyrie Irving, regardless our standings, will not be able to play in home games in the playoffs, most likely. Now, obviously, having Dragic out there is big and huge, absolutely sure. But with no Kyrie Irving, and I believe it's already been put out there that Kevin Durant's not going to play, and I'm pretty sure Ben Simmons won't play either. Tomorrow at home against the Raptors, we get to see, I think it's at home. I'm pretty sure it's at home. Our home. Not that it would matter. Kyrie wouldn't be able to play either of those, but we are going to see a completely different team. And judging by how that game goes, I believe is going to be a very serious gauge on what our future is going to be. Because without Kyrie Irving out there, there is a significantly high chance that we're in all hope is gone mode. Because without someone out there, and I know I have said in the past whether Kyrie is out there or not, it doesn't make much of a difference. New evidence has been added. We've added Seth Curry, we've added Drummond, we've added Dragic. So all of them with Kyrie, we've seen that that's enough to get the job done. So I just want to get ahead of that before anyone says that down below. Let me continue with what I was saying. If we can't count on Kyrie to be there because he's legally not allowed to play, our immediate future doesn't look the best. So we can't get too hyper over last night's win. And last night we had a moment, we were enjoying it, we were just focusing on that exact moment. This is the time where we move on from that and we look at the reality of what we have going on for the rest of the season. Kyrie will most likely not be there for very, 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 very important games. Now, granted, we have Ben Simmons. That is not Kyrie Irving. Granted, we'll have Kevin Durant. That's a lot of pressure on KD. Because what we're basically saying here is that Ben Simmons is going to go out there and play defense and pass the ball, and it's just up to KD to carry us offensively. While I'm sure Kevin Durant is capable of it, again, if he's as amazing as y'all say he is, he's absolutely capable of it. He's the best player in the league, allegedly. He can handle it. But do we need to put that type of pressure on Kevin Durant going into the playoffs? I don't think that's fair to him. And all I can think of is, yet again, the wrong player was traded. Granted, Harden didn't want to be here. I strongly believe, and I will die on this hill probably for the rest of my life. We'll be arguing this when we're 80 years old, and yeah, I'll just have to die on this hill. If you would have just traded Kyrie in the beginning of the season, we acquired Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has come back at this point. James Harden probably isn't as upset. And not only that, there's no way James Harden can force his way to Philly because we already have Ben Simmons. So even if Harden is hemming and hawing and dragging his feet and complaining and 4-point scoring that and oh, he's not trying this, there is no way he could have gotten out. So you might as well win a ring with us. Might as well just win a ring with us. And I don't say that because I'm some massive James Harden fan. I currently despise that man. But I say that from the simple fact of at least the players would be healthy. Do you want a Kyrie Irving that legally can't play or a pouty, upset James Harden? Granted, at his worst, that is 4 points and a couple turnovers. But in comparison to not on the floor at all, you tell me which one you want to see. Again, it's not this idea that I just hate Kyrie. That's not the case. It's not this idea that I just love James Harden. That's not well, I do love Harden, but that's not the case. I'm speaking strictly from the point of view of we are trapped with Kyrie. And this type of stuff is good. It's just part of the course. This is what we've signed up for. And that's just this season. Imagine if we re-sign this man. This vaccine stuff's not going away. And if it's not the vaccine, it'll be something else. It always is. But currently it's the vaccine stuff. And if we had Harden, Ben Simmons, and Kevin Durant, we'd be in a much different spot right now. Even with KD's injury, we'd be in a much better spot right now. We would be seeing what type of magical things Ben Simmons and James Harden could have been figuring out right now. But alas, we're ramping up Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant's hurt, and Kyrie Irving can't legally play. And according to the government, that's not changing anytime soon. I just love being a Nets fan.